Hey there everyone, this is Chaotic Teal and welcome back to Sonic Frontiers. Last time we finished up with Ares Island. This looks probably fine. And we made our way to Chaos Island. A quick note that between streams I did finish everything on Ares Island. So that is all taken care of now. Again, my current plan is to finish exploring the island. I want to see the whole island on stream, and at that point, I'll start to rush story progress and finish things up. But until that point, I'm just gonna wander around and do what I do. And if you're here for that, great. And if you're not, that's fine too. Shiny. Good, I do remember how to play this game. One would hope, given that it's only been a couple of days. Ah, that's the spider. Ah. Okay, cannot block being stepped on. Yes, I'm up now. Ooh, okay. So, I have the soundtrack for Sonic Frontiers. Despite not knowing what most stuff looks like. Oh good, I'm glad the stream wasn't having audio issues. Despite not knowing what most stuff looks like, I do know the names of most of the major enemies at this point. Uh-huh. Thanks. That's reasonable. The completionist in me struggles with open worlds because it's really easy to do open world in a way that is quantity over quality. Okay. I think that's what a lot of, especially a lot of earlier open world style games struggled with. that I like to think we're starting to get away from. Oh, cool. First try S rank. What's nice about open worlds is that there isn't really a wrong way to go about them, gameplay-wise. Or at least in a well-made open world, that is the case. I mean, I'll grant that the only actual open world games that I have really played it would help if I was paying attention. The only open world games that I've actually played are the PS5, well, PS4 and 5 Spider-Man games, the recent Zeldas, and this. So, most of the ones that kind of kickstarted the genre and established some of its, I will say, dubious qualities, I haven't played. I know that Assassin's Creed and other Ubisoft games get a lot of flack for their world design, for instance. I have played approximately 5 hours of the first Assassin's Creed, and nothing else. It's one I'd like to play more of. Not on stream. I don't think that it's really a good fit for my streams or the audience that I want. I have heard pretty good things about... That's just a bird. Why does this bird have lasers? Who gave the bird lasers? Can I parry a laser? Yes. And then I get smacked for it. I can fly the bird. My weakness. That made the platform go. Oh, incredible. The first thing we find is the fishing spot. Yeah, like, we should probably find Tails at some point.
Welcome back.
But...
Would you like to try? I'll let you borrow a rod.
alternatively, we've got the coins for like 200 fishing attempts. Incredible. We've achieved crab. Carcinization complete. Maybe this time we'll blow all of our coins on Coco. Because we kind of power leveled the attack and defense last time. And now it super outranks. Well, they super outrank speed and ring capacity. Ramen or pizza rolls? Do you still have a sore throat? Japanese is an interesting language. I'd like to engage with it more. I would say probably ramen if you have the pizza. Well, if you have a sore throat still. Now, if your throat is soaring, then I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I took 1 semester of Japanese in undergrad. And I want to say that was spring of 2018? No, spring of 2019. Or was it fall of 18? That's a snapping turtle. Oh, friend. Anyway, I took Japanese shortly before I went to E3. And we went to E3 with Hikate Koyo, a very aesthetically and obviously name-wise Japanese-styled game. That is true. Cat scratches hurt way more. Is that one of the 10 Commandments? I can't believe Moses is canon to Sonic. Anyway. We went to E3 with our very Japanese-inspired game. And that's just a stick. That is more than a twig, Sonic. And there was a group of, I think, high school students that were visiting the show from Japan. And a lot of them were really interested in our game. Unfortunately, 1 semester of Japanese does not a conversationalist make. I think it must have been spring because I wanted to take another semester of it. But they didn't have Japanese 2 in the fall. That was the issue. So, anyway, 1 semester does not a conversationalist make. And I was only able to effectively say, I don't speak Japanese. That's fair. Duolingo can be a good asset to learning a language. But I feel like I've made a Melotic joke before when I have caught an oarfish, but that's just a Melotic. Duolingo in a lot of ways is kind of like flashcards. It's useful for practicing and starting to figure out vocabulary, and depending on the language and the format that you use, it can be really good for listening exercises, but you don't get a lot of the linguistic structure from it. You can start to put together inferences with just example sentences, but you're not actually being told the rules underlying them. You just have puzzle pieces that you can put together, if that makes sense. I think Japanese would be an interesting language to learn if you want to create more fictional languages, because a lot of European languages are drawn from the same roots. That is an alligator. That's not remotely to say that if you understand English, you can understand Spanish or French or Italian. Obviously, different languages have different structures and rules to them, and English took most of them out to a back alley and mugged them for their grammar. But they do still share that common root, where Japanese and other Eastern languages don't. And I believe that a lot of African languages and Native American languages are similar in that they don't have that common root that a lot of European-based languages do. Language is a really interesting subject, and I wish that I could ever retain languages, because that's always been my issue. I understand the structure in a language, I will come to you if I have any discussion topics related to constructed languages, or whatever the con part of conlang stands for. I don't remember. Also reasonable. Having a good teacher can definitely make or break learning any subject. And okay. So we're in the same boat. Foreign languages, and Spanish especially, get hit hard with public schools not really having the highest quality teachers. And this isn't necessarily. Is that a real thing? Do polka dot hammerhead sharks exist? I feel like they made that up. Anyway, this isn't like a direct call out against any of my high school language teachers or anything like that, but in general, Spanish at a high school level is it's the language class that people take because they have to take a foreign language to graduate. And as a result, it also gets kind of neglected from a budgetary resources standpoint, because a lot of the people who are taking, especially early level languages in high school, are not interested in the language. They just need it to pass. So, you don't need someone who really, really knows Spanish to teach a basic level of Spanish grammatical structure. Granted, depending on the school, you do wind up with... Was that a regular crab? Have we
Like to try?
completed the Fishopedia? Oh, no, that's not the Ten Commandments, that's the Rosetta Stone. I am curious whether there's any way to decipher the runes throughout the game, or if they're just kind of decorative.
Would you like to try? I'll let you borrow a rod.
I mean, that's just not true, but okay. Oh, I can't hold the button. Oh. Well, okay. Fine then. I am truly sorry.
Would you like to try? I'll let you borrow.
Yeah, depending on the school, you do end up with the same issue of teachers not needing the expertise in their subject, or hooray. For things like art and art, music, PE, those are the big ones that can sometimes get filled by whoever. Which is unfortunate. I won't go on a complete tangent about my problems with the American education system, because we'd be here for a while. Unfortunate. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I can't actually put that one out yet. There's a fourth. By which I mean there's a fifth, because that one was the fourth. Okay, I'm liking these slightly more complex challenges. Again, nothing too fancy, but it's still more than was expected of us earlier in the game, which is cool. There's a funky little guy somewhere on this island. This is a spring. But it appears it is a type of spring that we cannot homing attack. Cool to see the island kind of from a distance. Okay, well, that was both of the wrenches that were added to the map. Oh, hello. Okay, so they've gotten a little bit spicier. They are red now. I wonder if our funky little guy is up on top of this tower. I'll take that. Okay. I don't think that our funky little guy is up on this tower. Unless... Oh yeah, you can definitely climb that. Maybe? I'm not sure I can climb this. It is possible that I can't climb this. Okay, the little dude is halfway across the island anyway. I see. Okay. Oh. There's more. There's more, and it hates depth perception. Well, at least I landed on the thing. Thank you, Matthew Patthew. I see this as an absolute win. Oh no. Okay, new plan. Concept. Patience. And we found the prince himself. Look at him go. Okay, so it seems like we mapped out pretty much this entire island. Well, I mean, we've got a couple of corners that we don't have on the map, but there doesn't appear to be another challenge here. So let's head back to the mainland. I'll take it. Sometimes the real challenge is the friends we make along the way, to be fair. Friendship is hard. Don't do the thing again, that's just the ramp that launches us into the sun. Did I actually finish whatever phrase I said concept for? I don't remember at this point. Ah. I out-projectile your patience. Right, we've got a Tetris thing over here. I appreciate they've got different symbols on them. Oh, okay. I understand now. Hooray. More of the map. I mean... sometimes when you're sick, you can focus on one thing. And if that one thing gets you through, so be it. I mean, that's part of the driving factor in why I own all the Sonic Legos. Because I had multiple sick days and went, I need to make my brain happy for me to get any work done. So let's use some of my limited energy to go to Walmart and buy a Lego set. I am uncertain what I am going to do about this now that I am out of Lego sets to buy. Okay, I'm not out of Lego sets to buy, but I can justify collecting all of the sets for a theme that started last year. I don't think I could justify doing that for any other Lego theme. Yeah, when you're sick, you should rest. Now, I'll grant that acknowledging that my family is relatively good we reached a point when I was a kid where I was not allowed to play video games on a day that I stayed home from school because I was sick until school got out, to make sure that I was not just faking being sick so I could stay home and play video games. When I started being able to stay home alone, that rule became far less enforceable. But it was a thing for a while. So, you know, sometimes you don't get to relax how you want to when you're sick. But as an adult, do what you want because a pirate is free. Har har fiddle-dee-dee. I don't recall ever being the sort to fake being sick. I think that I must have at some point to get that rule enacted. But I sure don't remember it. Oh, that would cause some confusion now, wouldn't it? What I do know is that even as I've gotten older, I've had to recognize that I sometimes work myself into being sick. Particularly if I have some legitimate concern that I might get sick or have gotten sick. My brain will contemplate the possibility that I am sick until I develop the symptoms that actively mean that I am sick. But once I stop focusing on that, I start feeling better. So there are definitely times I also tend to feel worse in the morning and in the evening when I'm sick. I think there were attacks there that I was supposed to be doing something about, but I sure didn't. Never underestimate that I have punches. Anyway, I think there were times that I could have been interpreted as faking sick when at the time I did legitimately feel sick. I don't know. The point is, now that I'm older, I do kind of do what I want when I'm taking a sick day. I mean, usually, if I'm missing something or being sick, even if I do get to feeling better later in the day, I feel bad about doing something like streaming, where I am creating very clear evidence that I was capable of doing something at some point during the day. There are very few people who I know in reality and who know where I stream who would have any impact on what I would be doing if I wasn't sick, and who would care. But you know, it still doesn't feel right to not do something. I don't remember being able to do that. I'm definitely talking in circles. The point is, it doesn't feel right to stream or otherwise engage in a very visible leisure activity if I didn't do something that I had a responsibility for because sick. Every time I see one of these cyberspace levels now, I'm trying to figure out what level. Okay, that was familiar. Speed Highway? That doesn't feel cool. Speed Highway doesn't feel quite right. The crane thing is very distinct, though. Oh no, oh no, oh. Oh, cool, we got the time. We just have to finish with 20 rings. I definitely said this last time, but I am absolutely looking something up to figure out the original level designs that a lot of these cyberspaces are based on. Because there have been some that I've recognized. I mean, City Escape has a very distinct structure. There was the one last time that definitely felt like one of Shadow's stages from Adventure 2. And there are some that just legitimately feel like other iterations of the stage that they're using assets from. I mean, the vast majority of the cyberspace levels have been themed after Green Hill, Chemical Plant, or Sky Sanctuary. Which, again, I struggle to see as a coincidence when they're doing something with Sonic Generations this year, because those are the 3 stages that were in Sonic Generations for that era. I mean, there's also been the somewhat more generic city, the same kind of visual area that Eggman is stuck in. I'm definitely going to do a lot of reading on this game after I finish it. That's the point that I'm making. Because that is what I do. Oh yeah, I am very fond of this Shadow plush. He is so round. He's just the angriest bean. And I love him. I saw him at Walmart and went, yes, this is funny enough for me to make an impulse purchase. I do perhaps a worrying amount of things because I think they're funny. But as long as they're not harming anyone, I don't really feel the need to do anything about it. Hard to say. I mean, this is specifically a Shadow Squishmallow. They've been, I mean, maybe not the Shadow one specifically, but Squishmallows have been super popular in the last few years. Hello. Oh, that wasn't enough to buff my defense to max. Interesting. I should have bought more defense seeds. But yeah, they have all sorts of Squishmallows that are just animals and things like that, too. Well, particularly given that you're sick, if you're sleepy, you should try to sleep. But I totally get the need to sleep but feeling restless thing. I have seen something very similar to a Plague Doctor Squishmallow. I feel like we've discussed this before. Maybe not with those exact words. I really hope that they make a Wave 2, or maybe even up to, like, 3, 5 of Sonic Squishmallows. Because I just want a silver Squishmallow. My issue with a lot of... because there are a lot of Sonic character plushies. But my issue with a lot of them is that, particularly with, like, the quills, you just end up with a really complicated shape. And that's difficult to do well in plushie form. So I've never seen a silver plushie that wasn't just the ugliest thing. Because the poor dude's got a weird head shape. And that's tough to do well in a plushie. Okay, this is big. Yeah. There are a lot of custom plushies on Etsy. And a lot of those, I feel, are better than some of the official ones. But quite reasonably. Custom plushies on Etsy are expensive. Oh, okay, we're doing this again. That's fine, I wanted to go back up to the top anyway. That's fine, I didn't want to go back up there anyway. No, I don't think I do. There's definitely plenty of fan work on Etsy that hits that very specific crack ship part of the fandom. Where am I? Rapidly approaching my own demise, I see. Can I get back up? This... Okay, good. I'm so glad that it has the same vibes as... Mordetwai? Is that the name of the... cursed meme ship? There's no shortage of things that makes me feel like I have spent far too much time on the internet. Recognizing that is one of those things. Oh, there's a stick there. Where does this go? Nope, I don't like that. Being quite honest. Oddly enough, I'm more okay with the amount of fan art and such that ships Spider-Man and Lucina. I don't know, I feel like that one makes sense in a weird way. Again, though, generally of a mind that I'm not gonna tell someone how they can engage with the thing they like, as long as the way that they choose to engage with it doesn't hurt anyone. I don't think that was how I was supposed to approach that situation. Excellent. I'm sure that this will not result in me spending money in an irresponsible way. Oh, up we go. Where are we going? There a purpose to going up? Sometimes what you need in a friend is someone who will encourage you to pick the funny option. And to be fair, in the mutual friend group that we are in, I think all of us fulfill that role in different instances. It depends on the context. I'm real curious what fresh hell that is. You know, that sounds moderately sacrilegious, but I am intrigued. But seriously, what is that? Is that the Titan for this island? It's very big. It is notably the biggest thing that I have seen on this island that is moving. There were little guys. I did not get them. I'm glad that there's not any kind of tracking for the Coco. Maybe I should feel worse about that statement than I do. But I don't know. I don't need more Koroks. I still haven't convinced myself to finish collecting absolutely everything, including the Koroks in Tears of the Kingdom. I feel substantially more drawn to than I did with Breath of the Wild. The relationship between those two games... The Cocos are the little terracotta-looking guys in this game. I have them set to be Easter eggs instead, because it's funny. Cream's Chow is named Cheese. Though she does... There is a second, dubiously related Chow named Chocola, who is missing in Sonic Heroes. Hey, do you think lava hurts? Like, question. Yes. You ever have one of those times when your body moves faster than your brain? And you go, I wonder if this thing that will obviously have consequences will have consequences. And it turns out, it does indeed have consequences. I mean, there's a part of me as both a player and a game developer that feels a constant need to check. And should I feel that need? Not in this case. I think it is a fairly safe assumption that if a game contains a volcanic island, and on that volcanic island there is lava, lava is probably painful. But, like, what if it wasn't, though? Oh dear. Oh dear. What if there had actually been... like, a secret quest behind the lava flow? Wouldn't everyone have felt silly then? I know that he's not gonna be, because Sega has outright said that Chaos and Tikal are just considered dead by the modern franchise. Not that they didn't exist, just that those characters are gone. And... but I really wish that Chaos could have shown up in a more meaningful sense outside of adventure. Oh, that was faster than I expected. One of my favorite things in this game is just being able to shenaniganize my way part way into some of these activity tracks. Like, there's clearly a sequence of actions that they intend for you to take to get to this point, but I see a way that I can cut the knot and get past half of them. And it works, and that makes me really happy. I completely understand why some longtime fans of Sonic are not fond of Sonic Frontiers. Look at that hat. What an incredible little guy. And yeah, these are Coco. It's just that the normal ones look like Easter eggs because I thought it was funny. I should take care of Tails.
Hang tight, little bro. I won't make you wait much longer.
I'm not sure that Sonic had ever actually referred to Tails as a little brother in the games prior to now. Like, explicitly. And it's sweet to have that codified.
Sonic! Just catching my breath.
He never stops. Clarification. He never gives up.
The spatial anomaly that affected us seems to have left me in a digitized state. But those same energies are manifesting into some worrisome mutations for you.
Those sure are words you said just now.
Thanks, Sonic.
Saying I'm fine, you're not, and I'm worried.
I'll be fine. And I need this power to rescue you.
I'll be fine, he said, actively being
calculated he would.
consumed by the void.
You're always rescuing me, and... Let's focus on the now. What do you need?
Chaos Emeralds. Think you can help me track them down?
I'm on it.
It's so sad someone so impressive will be lost in the end. It's not fair.
Ah, okay.
You
That's
are
why.
the key. Be empowered with this technique.
Also, I would like to point out that I have 260 skill points. This isn't going to get me anywhere I actually want. Well, that sure got me somewhere. I don't remember how I got to the top of this thing. I don't remember this path. I would also say that just from that interaction alone, this game handles Tails better than Forces did. The bar is in the ground, but Tails actually getting to do things. Because Tails has so much potential as a character. And I feel like because he's always the one, if there is another primary character in the game that is not Sonic, it is Tails. He's gotten hit the hardest by the shift away from other characters being playable since Unleashed. I mean, really, since 06. But Unleashed was the first game of the shift away. Because... oh, that's just there. Sky Road. There are so many Sky Otherword areas in this series. I don't remember which one Sky Road is from. The zone thing should be an indicator, but the only other game that I know... the only game that I know uses zone instead of act is Sonic CD. And every level in Sonic CD has an alliterative name. Oh, hello. I don't know what I did to make you angry, but I'm sorry. Oh, you have bombs. This is just the egg carrier. We're fighting the biblically accurate egg carrier. Okay, it's kinda squiddy. Just squiddy things. Okay. Glad I didn't play this when I was dealing with a migraine over the weekend. Well, earlier in the weekend. Right, my attack is maxed out. That was a little anticlimactic, huh? Portal gear, there it is. This area is neat. It's like a hot spring, kinda. Like a natural volcanic spring area. I like that, it's pretty. And it's got moss. Also, like, shout out to the PS5. The water effects. The water in this game looks so good. And yeah, that side loop really did look like a heart, didn't it? Oh, good, more skill points. I'll readily acknowledge that some of the things that I am commenting on are exclusively the result of how I have played through this game. Because you really don't need to do that much. Yes, I've gathered that. Oh, you have to start from there. Okay. There we go. You really don't have to do that much to finish this game. You need to get enough memory tokens to get through the companion for the island story. You need to get enough vault keys to unlock the Chaos Emeralds. Everything does feed into each other. Because, I mean, you get memory tokens from wandering around the island, but you get vault keys from doing the cyberspace levels. And you get into the cyberspace levels by getting portal gears, which you generally get from fighting the big guys. Okay, I don't know that you can really do anything useful with flying the bird around, but I like that it's an option. No, we're not doing this again. Shiny. There was a Tails. Yeah. Hey, buddy.
not an ideal working condition. If I just had my body, I could be so much more efficient.
Amy said she felt like she was in a dream. Does that sound about right?
That's pretty accurate. I can think clearly, and I'm aware, but there's no physicality to it. Everything feels just out of reach.
Do you think that's why the ancients made the cocoa? To have something real to put their spirits into?
It's one hypothesis. We certainly can't rule it out.
So, I've mentioned numerous times in the last few months that my first Sonic game was Sonic Adventure. In that game, my favorite character was Tails. I've never really been the protagonist is my favorite sort. There are some cases where the protagonist might be my favorite character, or very close if not. But usually, I mean, I like Luigi more than Mario, for instance. In the Mario and Luigi case, it kind of comes down to color preference. Red was my favorite color when I was a little kid, but kind of at the point that any, like, kindergarten boy is gonna say that his favorite color is red. You know, because that's a boy color. For the record, I am now rather adamantly against the concept of arbitrarily gendering things that don't need to be. Like, at this point, purple is one of my favorite colors. I bet you'd never guess what my favorite color is. What did this do? Oh, okay. And to be fair, I generally describe my favorite color as turquoise, but teal uses fewer characters and just rolls off the tongue better. Plus, chaotic teal kind of worked as like a chaotic neutral pun. Dude. So, by the way, lava hurts. We have now run this experiment twice. We've gotten the same result. We do not reject the null hypothesis that lava equals ouch. Right, back on the Tails thing. I always really liked Tails for being the less confident one. I mean, being brash and cocky are major aspects of Sonic's character. So, giving him a companion who is much less self-assured that makes perfect sense. And Tails, from the very beginning, has been the younger, less confident counterpart to Sonic. With plenty of strengths in his own right. I feel like I'm missing something. One of the big parts of Tails' growth from Adventure to Adventure 2 was growing more confident in himself without Sonic. I mean, that was why it was such a big deal for Tails to fight Eggman one-on-one in the end of his story and adventure. Whoops. Oh. How? Wait. There we go. I wasn't looking at it from the right angle. You could play Sonic 2 or Sonic 3 as Tails on his own. But that was never presented as the canon path, so to speak. In most cases, you can reasonably assume that canon is whichever one has you play as Sonic with Tails accompanying him. From a story standpoint, until Adventure, there had never been a point where Tails fought Eggman by himself. Even in the couple of Game Gear games. I want to say Tails Adventure and Tails Sky Patrol. He's not fighting Eggman. So, it was a big deal for him to have this separate adventure. And even in Adventure, all but one of Tails' levels have him racing against Sonic. It's this really great gameplay and narrative congruence, where, especially because the game kind of expects that you're gonna play Sonic's route first. He's the only one you have unlocked at the beginning, so unless you quit Sonic's route partway through and go play through a different one, you're gonna get through Sonic's route first. Which means that you have seen almost everything that Tails goes through in that game. Because for the vast majority of that game, they're together, just like they were in the classic games. But you have the section midway through where the two of them get separated. Sonic has a couple of levels. Tails has a bunch of mini-games where he's kind of reflecting on himself and his relationship with Sonic and his dependence on Sonic. And then it's not until you get to the end of the egg carrier sequence okay, this looks a lot like the modern Sky Sanctuary in Generations. Anyway, it's not till you get to the end of the egg carrier sequence that Sonic goes off on his own again, and Tails is left to respond to Eggman on his own. Nope. Not that ring. I don't have depth perception. And it's at that point when Tails goes through his last level where it's the first time he's done something big in Sonic Adventure without Sonic. And that moment is huge for him as a character. Enough that that single level and boss fight are considered a defining moment in his character. Even now. I mean, that's the point that Eggman's audio log in this game references for Tails. Because of that interaction, Tails ends up with one of the Chaos Emeralds in Sonic Adventure 2. And it's that final piece combined with Tails' theme, which is actually just called Believe in Myself, where he starts to. Yeah. At least we got everything else taken care of. I was meandering too much. Okay, good to know. Boost is not an attack in this game. I don't know why I thought it was. But moving forward from Adventure 1, you have Adventure 2, where Tails is the team's direct foil to Eggman himself. And does a lot of things independently from Sonic. Culminating in the final fight against Eggman, or, you know, Eggman jettisons Sonic into space. Yeah, this was not fast enough. It was better, but it was not fast enough. It was close, though. During that scene, after Sonic gets jettisoned into space, while Amy, whose character is a whole different thing that is also worth going into, Amy is just sobbing. And some of that is because she gets damseled real hard in Sonic Adventure 2. That's fine. I don't think I need more speed upgrades, because I don't think that the upgrades actually impact cyberspace. You'll notice that I have a max of 999 rings, and I only have the one boost gauge. So, and I think this is a very good thing. The upgrades don't seem to have that effect. This might have been fast enough, actually. Yeah, this was totally fast enough. Cool. But as by all appearances, as Sonic has just been jettisoned into space and blown up. His immediate response is Sonic asked me to do something for the first time, and I am not about to let him down. And then, canonically, because even in the Dark story, Eggman does not win. Canonically, Tails mops the floor with Eggman in a 1v1. To take care of Amy and make sure that their mission is a success. Unfortunately, Tails doesn't get to do a lot on his own past that point, but he has such a wonderful character arc between those two games, where he grows up out of a desire to be someone that Sonic especially, but even their other friends can rely on. And he does it so well. And that's part of what makes it such a shame that everyone was sidelined after 06. Frankly, I don't remember much that anyone other than no, that's not even it. I don't remember much that specifically Tails and Knuckles do in Sonic 06. Because I know that stuff's going on with Team Dark. And I know that stuff's I know stuff's going on with Team Dark, and I know stuff's going on with Silver, Blaze, and Amy, who are the central characters of the other two routes. But I think partly because, despite being called Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic is like the least important character in that game. And that's not inherently a bad thing. Sonic is a flat character in 06 because Shadow and Silver take the spotlight. Shadow finally getting a game after he's stopped having an identity crisis. being fully confident in who and what he is and what he stands for, and it's awesome. Meanwhile, Silver is discovering that despite his pursuit of justice above all else, justice has costs, and sometimes doing what you think is right carries a cost that is worth hesitating, reevaluating for. So, simply by virtue of being Sonic's number 2 and number 3, Tails and Knuckles don't get to do a whole lot in that game. And then we get into Unleashed, and Colors, and Lost World, and Generations, and that whole era of games where Sonic is the only one who's playable, which inherently means that the other characters cannot have as active of a role. So in Unleashed, you have Tails getting attacked by Dark Gaia and the monsters that it summons, or kind of creates. Summons implies that there's intent. Dark Gaia is a force of nature. That's why it's called that. Oops. But don't hold against Tails that he cowers against a horde of Dark Gaia creatures. They vastly outnumber him, and they are unlike anything that he has ever encountered. When you find Tails in that game, he is surrounded by monsters, all of whom are bigger than him. So yeah, I don't blame Tails for that. And he does help with getting you around and researching what's going on, along with one of the foremost professors of everything, presumably. Okay, I know we just left that island, but I want to get the little dude and I want to get the song. So, Unleashed is okay. Not the strongest showing for Tails, but not bad. Colors is sort of in the same boat, where Tails is along to be the straight man foil to Sonic's go fast, ask questions later attitude. That was also the point when the series really shifted tonally to focus much more on meta comedy and more of a cheesy Saturday morning cartoon kind of vibe, but only an okay one. I mean, I like Sonic Colors writing, but I will readily acknowledge that it does not hold a candle to Adventure, to Adventure 2, Unleashed. Uh-oh. It's sort of like with Sonic 06, they got a lot of criticism and a lot of mockery, and not wholly undeservedly, for, crucially, not the fact that they had a narrative with darker themes, but how. Uh-oh. How they had a narrative with darker themes. '06 is a dubiously executed narrative on a similar level tonally to the adventure games. Okay, so we got a 1, 2, 3 there. I should go now. That's all 3. So, from my perspective, Unleashed and Colors and the rest of that era of Sonic games were a response to criticism around Sonic 06. They tried to tell a darker, more serious story. Again, because Adventure and Adventure 2 are both pretty dark. Adventure 2 especially. Shadow the Hedgehog sure is. But because of that, all of that collectively, the stakes got lower, the writing got more comedy focused. And the characters were worked into different roles. Not necessarily badly, and not necessarily a bad fit for those roles. I mean, even here, where I have explicitly said that I really like how Tails is portrayed, he still has that kind of technically minded, straight man in a comedy sense, compared to the ADHD goober that is Sonic the Hedgehog. Man just wants to go fast. And I love that for him. He's not stupid. I think that's an important thing to recognize that he doesn't get enough credit for. Sonic's not dumb. Tails is just a genius. Well, that didn't help. But the problem is that, starting with colors, going into Generations and into Lost World from what I've played of it, and really culminating in Forces, Tails lost more and more of that independence that he'd grown into as he became more and more of a non-combatant character. In Colors, he's essentially there to provide exposition. Relatively well-executed exposition. But because I still think, while not on par with the earlier game's writing, Colors handles things pretty well. Nice. No! I have made a mistake. I am missing something. Understandable. Words, brain. Sonic Colors. Tails is the exposition character in Colors. While Sonic's running around obstructing Eggman's plans, Tails is the one trying to figure out what the heck he's actually doing. This becomes a common theme, but it's not always executed well. Lost World, he's just kind of there. I guess Generations comes first. Generations was really the worst of it for every other character, because the whole premise of Generations is Sonic's having a birthday party because Sonic Generations came out for the 25th anniversary of the series. No, the 20th anniversary. It was not the 25th. So, the vast majority of the significant cast for the Sonic franchise is present at Sonic's birthday party. Eggman encountered yet another eldritch creature of unknown origin while meandering through space after losing in colors. And unleashes it on Sonic's birthday. Resulting in a breakdown of the fabric of space-time that sends everyone to the abyss. And, crucially to the core premise, starts to meld time and space together. That was not how I was supposed to access that. Which is why all of the levels are from previous adventures, why Classic Sonic shows up as explicitly a younger version of current Sonic. This is also a thing that Forces made decisions about. I have gone backwards. But what's this? That is a giant door. Anyway, that also resulted in all of Sonic's friends who were gathered for, you know, a birthday party. All of them get kind of shadow realmed, but Sonic somehow, as a result of going so fast, is able to start to correct the flow of time in the areas that he runs through, which also unshadow realms his friends stuck in said areas. So every level saves another friend. In addition, Metal Sonic, Shadow, and Silver all show up as rival characters that were not at his birthday party, but are still there and in the canon iteration. Have one of the Chaos Emeralds. And again, Metal Sonic's not as important because Metal Sonic doesn't like Sonic anyway. But you have Shadow and Silver, in addition to Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Rouge, Espio, maybe Vector? No, Cream, Blaze, significant characters. Oh, that's just Spikes. Significant characters, all of whom, including Cream, have experience on these adventures. No. That's the third one. But you get all the Chaos Emeralds, you get through all of the other shenaniganry, and you get the final boss. And everyone shows up except for Metal Sonic. Because, again, he doesn't like you. Everyone shows up to cheer Sonic on and tell him that things look like homing shots. Which, spoiler alert, every attack that the boss does is a homing shot. That's its thing. But the entire final boss, every character, every time that the boss attacks, you get someone saying some variation on, "That looks like a homing shot." Watch out, Sonic. That's a homing shot. And just... Again, this includes Shadow and Silver and all of these other characters who have major combatant roles in other games. But because they're not the protagonists this time, they just get to tell Sonic that those shots are homing. Oops. I love Generations for what it is. Well written is not one of the things that it is. At least in terms of usage of characters that are not named Sonic. I don't think I'm getting an S rank this time. Metal Sonic is actually an Eggman creation, and thus built to be a robotic copy of Sonic. Depending on how much characterization he is allowed to have, Metal Sonic loathes Sonic for being the inferior that he's based on. So while everyone else is chill with Sonic, at least to some extent, Metal Sonic is not. Can we take a moment to appreciate how good this music is, though? I don't know that I'm getting an S rank this time either. So yeah, in Generations, Tails is kind of just subjected to the same dubious characterization as everyone else. Then you get to Lost World, and Tails still kind of has the guy in a chair role for Sonic, which admittedly is still not the helpless, cowardly character that he's portrayed as in the classic games. I mean, not cowardly to the same extent as, say, Luigi, but you know, still guy in the chair, still just kind of doing stuff. Again, I have not finished Sonic Lost World, so I can't fully comment on it. The series took kind of a weird break after Lost World, in that Forces, well, not Forces, Boom existed, and I do actually like Tails in Sonic Boom. I think the show is pretty funny, and I think that for the most part the characters are done fairly well. Amy in particular probably benefits the most from Boom. Yes. I actually don't like, or I don't dislike the Sonic Boom redesigns of characters either. Because the Sonic cast at present suffers a lot from very samey proportions. And Sonic Boom did a little bit more to differentiate itself in that regard. Knuckles is noticeably beefier. Sonic and Amy, to a slightly lesser extent, are both lankier. Then you have Tails and the only completely new character for Boom, Dix, or at least the only completely new, like, main cast member. And both Styx and Tails are a little bit more on the smaller side, similar to Tails' normal proportions. Ah, bother. Well, folks, this might not be it. Because this entire section is confusing and multi-layered, and I don't think I understand it. Oh no. Oh yeah, we're resetting. And with Sonic Boom, they also did some recharacterization. Sonic keeps his... Okay, well, it's a mid-2010s cartoon. Everyone is snarky. But Sonic is especially so. But still the cool, cocky leader of the group. Amy does get a little stereotypically girl bossy, but still handles it fairly well. I'm gonna be real sad if that cost me the S rank. I don't think it did. Because Amy and Sonic Boom still draws. It totally did. No. She still draws from aspects of her original characterization, just with a lesser emphasis on being completely obsessed with Sonic. But Tails gets to be the smart guy in their core group in Boom. He's the one making all the gadgets. He's the one coming up with plans and I mean, usually Sonic is the one planning things, but because they're presented on more equal footing in Boom, Sonic gets to be wrong more. Which means that Tails' plans are not quite as redundant as they can be in the modern series. Point being, Sonic Boom Tails is pretty good. Probably the best of the recharacterizations of the existing characters from the modern games. Then probably I could go either way on Amy and Sonic. Sonic is just kind of still Sonic. I like Amy a little more than her modern counterpart at that point. But that's partially because she'd been even less relevant. So there's not quite as much to compare her to after Sonic Adventure. But then we get to Sonic Forces. Yeah, I messed that one up. So close. Oh well. Of all of the Sonic games, Sonic Forces sure is one of them. It has some interesting ideas, but fails to execute on them well in both a narrative and a gameplay sense, pretty much without question. In Sonic Forces, you get one level as modern Sonic. And yes, I do need to clarify modern, we'll get to that. You get one level as modern Sonic. And then the Cold Steel the Hedgehog wannabe of an antagonist shows up chilling with Eggman alongside Chaos, Metal Sonic, Shadow, and Zavok for some reason. Zavok being one of the antagonists from Lost World. And they beat the snot out of Sonic, while Tails watches from behind some crates. Panics, and the panic I get at seeing Sonic getting hurt. And, in this case, being outnumbered. Sonic gets knocked out and captured. And Tails runs away. And not only does Tails run away, Tails runs away and doesn't show his face to the rest of the cast for 6 months. Six months during which Eggman takes over the world. There we go. And establishes an almost unquestioned military regime that exists to such an extent that Silver comes back from the future to do something about it, which is never a good thing. Knuckles ends up leading a full-on war against Eggman. Tails is somewhere along the line trying to fix Omega, who is broken down for some reason. It's vaguely discussed in the Shadow DLC, but, like, only in the sense that Omega goes offline.
You are not
I have 108. I guess I just haven't done enough to earn the right to access this Chaos Emerald yet. Anyway, while we're seeing some of the resistance with the OC and actually starting to figure out where the heck Sonic actually is. Tails is somewhere being unable to fix Omega when he is approached by Chaos Zero. And cowers and whines for Sonic to come rescue him. Fortunately for him, Classic Sonic shows up out of nowhere from the end of Mania, I guess. And hits Chaos Zero once. And Chaos Zero deconstitutes into a puddle of water. This is the most that Chaos Zero gets to do in the entire game, by the way. He does not have a gameplay model. Chaos Zero does not exist. I mean, further spoilers for Sonic Forces, but all of the antagonists that... Oh, okay. I was like, am I getting Shadow Realm for trying to run into the volcano? No. Not right now. Anyway, all of the antagonists... Metal Sonic, Shadow, Zavok, Chaos... are fakes created by Infinite, the game's antagonist. Well, co-antagonist with Eggman. So, you know, Chaos Zero is fake, but at least we get boss fights with Zavok and Metal Sonic. We don't know why Metal Sonic is fake, by the way, because he's still around. He's still on Eggman's side. This could go very poorly for me. Good thing I can do a sick kickflip. Otherwise, I'd be in trouble. Anyway. So after everything that Tails did in Adventure and Adventure 2, after watching Sonic jettisoned into space and immediately responding by getting revenge, decidedly, when there is no reason to believe that Sonic is alive, he watches Sonic get knocked out and gets fully reduced back to that coward. To a point, that he can't even fight the weaker form of a boss that he fought in Sonic Adventure. midway through that character development. And it's just... Forces is disappointing for a number of reasons, not the least of which being that they had the audacity to nostalgia bait with Chaos and Metal Sonic. Understandable, get some rest. I can continue to rant to myself. But not the least of which because they nostalgia baited with those prior, much more beloved antagonists that ultimately serve no purpose. But it just massacres Tails' character. And I am so glad to see it starting to get back on track through this and through the comic that I've started reading that picks up right after Forces. There's actually a really funny bit in said comic where, again, recognizing that this is in the aftermath of Forces, after Eggman has conquered the world and captured Sonic and all of that has been undone. Blaze shows up, and she's like, the Soul Emeralds called me here to avert some great calamity that will hinder not only your dimension, but my own. And Sonic just looks at her and goes, you're about 7 months late for that one. And the look of shock on Blaze's face at yeah, Eggman captured me and took over the world and stuff, but we fixed it. Don't worry. It's so good. I love the extended cast of characters actually getting reasonable use. Please let Shadow X Sonic Generations, Turbo and Knuckles do well, and let that result in finally giving Silver a game. Please. Let my boy do things. Other than be an idealist, but also a realist. Which is a silver line in Sonic Forces. Again, Sonic Forces does have some genuinely good ideas. having a scenario where Eggman captures Sonic and conquers the world has potential. The problem is they time skip through the interesting part. Because you get that one level with Sonic. Sonic gets beat up. And then it fades to black. And you get text talking about how Eggman conquered the world. And it cuts to 6 months later, when no one's seen or heard from Sonic, and Tails is missing, and Silver is back, and again, that's never a good thing. I mean, yeah, there's the one time that Silver comes back for some kart racing. And Team Sonic Racing sure is one of the games that is apparently canon. I actually do really like Team Sonic Racing, and for the most part, I feel like it handles its characters well. I watched a video essay recently, and I think I talked about this before. About how Silver is an extremely well-written character in 06, who has never been able to reach the same level of consistency and meaningful writing since then. And I think that video unfortunately takes out of context a couple of Silver's more naive lines. Involving not getting trash talk from Sonic. Which, I will note, is only the case with those lines in the localization. In the Japanese version, Sonic actually references the events of 06, which introduces several questions. Though I think the answer that I like the most is that because Sonic, Shadow, and Silver were the ones fighting Solaris, the end of the world, they still remembered the events of that timeline. But that doesn't carry over to the current iteration of Silver, because his meeting Sonic was erased. So, the Silver that we have that was introduced in Sonic Rivals is fundamentally a different Silver. Now, that introduces further questions of why Sonic and Shadow didn't recognize Silver in Rivals. Questions which I cannot answer because I have not played Rivals. It's on my list, as is pretty much every Sonic game that I have not played. Oh, this... This jump rope? Am I bad at jump rope? Yes, to both. But the thing about those specific lines, with Silver not getting trash talk, and for one thing, it does make some sense that the poor boy wouldn't understand trash talk. But they also happen in the context of Silver actively getting a bad feeling about what's happening and trying to process through why. Oh right, the spider's back. So it makes sense that his answers would come off as a little more goofy, because that's just not where his head's at right now. Wait. Okay, Sky Road is Lost World. It is understandable why I do not recognize it. Heck yeah. I love this track. I don't really even have an explanation for why. It's just one of my favorite stage themes in Adventure. For the most part, I am trying to keep to the Frontiers soundtrack. On stream. When I'm playing off stream, you better believe that I have the thing on shuffle. Speaking of, it is still on shuffle. Is Upper Road? No. Okay, that's Grin Unleashed. Sonic and the Black Knight, Colors, Generations, Lost World. Mania, Forces. Is Aqua Road from Forces? Huh. Anyway. Probably gonna wrap up here in just a minute, because we've been going for about 3 hours, and also it is 1 a.m.
What I wouldn't give to study this ancient technology properly. It doesn't look like this was a projectile weapon.
So no ancient cannonballs then, huh? Wait, are you saying this is a beam weapon? Like on the egg carrier?
Exactly. From what I can tell, it has its own battery, independent of an outside power source. Moreover, its capacity is ludicrous. It could level a mountain. It's almost up there with the Eclipse cannon. But that was plugged into the Ark's reactor. This is freestanding. The Ancients' designs are amazing.
Yeah, that's cool and all, but I mean, they built these things to shoot at something. Wow, what kind of enemy takes that much firepower to stop?
If I had one critique for the character writing of Frontiers, it is that these conversations do rely a little bit much on references, particularly to the adventure games. I don't think it's wholly a bad thing. Because I don't know, I could see two sides. Where, on one hand, you could easily lose people with some of these comments about the Ark, or the Eclipse Cannon, or Tikal, that aren't given any further context. Or the Egg Carrier, even. But it also makes sense that, especially given the design ties between the Ancients that we've seen and Chaos, it makes sense that we'd get some parallels drawn to things that we know these characters have encountered before. And that might be the other most important thing. This point in the franchise, canon is a very fuzzy thing. I mean, the official stance is everything is canon except for Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood. That never happened. And the events depicted in Sonic Battle probably happened, but maybe not in exactly the way that they do in that game. They also genuinely cannot mention Sonic Pocket Adventure for legal reasons. You know, I thought I was over that platform. I am falling into the crater. The crater is made of sadness. I want to make another attempt before I wrap up to get to the blue Chaos Emerald. Because unlike with any of the other islands we've been to, you know, any of the two, I don't see a way to get over there. And that is true to such an extent that I definitely feel like I'm missing something. Also, for the unaware, because I would not blame you for not being aware of this one, given, again, they legally cannot reference it. Like, they actually told the writer of the encyclopedia, you cannot mention this game. And they were allowed to mention Sonic Chronicles. The blue one has the beacon on it. Oh, that's not good. I guess there could be something sci-loopable? I don't see anything that particularly looks it. First of all, anyway, Sonic Pocket Adventure is a 2D Sonic game that was developed and released for the Neo Geo Pocket right around the time that Sonic Adventure came out, hence the overlap in names. It was the second Sonic game that was developed for dedicated video game hardware that was not made by Sega. Whoop. And my guess is that they just don't have Oh, there's so much more. My guess is that because Sega did not develop Pocket Adventure, and they didn't have any control over the hardware or anything, they just didn't end up with the overarching rights to the game. Which is weird, and from a preservation standpoint, it's woeful. Because that one's on the list of never getting a re-release. Even Sonic Chronicles could theoretically get a re-release. I don't think it will. Because Sonic Chronicles is just mired in weird legal stuff. They own the rights to the game. They own the rights to the characters. But there was a messy rights dispute surrounding the original characters in Chronicles and how they were similar in some ways to characters written for the original run of Sonic comics. Which, due to other messy legal complications, the original writers had the rights to not Archie, the publishers of the initial run of comics, not Sega. The rights dispute surrounding Sonic Chronicles was dropped due to exceeding the statute of limitations, but if the characters are used again, the statute of limitations reopen. And that case can continue. So, as a result, we are never seeing Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood in any official capacity at any point ever again. Unless pigs fly and the legal issues suddenly become legal non-issues. Because Hoo Boy, that guy is not gonna let go of what he thinks are his character rights. And let me be quite clear. Wow, yeah, they really, really don't want you to do that. Anyway, in the vast, vast majority of cases, I believe that it is a very good thing for authors independent of conglomerate creators to have the rights to the work that they do. Generally speaking, I believe that that is very important. But I will not deny that it's annoying to have interesting, distinct, and meaningful characters completely off the table because one guy who worked in an official capacity claims that they are too similar to his DeviantArt OCs. Once again, let me be clear. There are good creators who post their work on DeviantArt. And I would not devalue the work of creators who post shoddy work on DeviantArt, because in most cases, they're learning. That's not the case with this man, who somehow has the rights to green knuckles. Okay. Anyway, that rant over. We've now been going for more than 3 hours, and I should really go to bed. So, we're gonna figure out what the heck we're missing to get over there next time. Which will probably be, like, Wednesday. Because I'm likely to have a meeting Tuesday evening when I would normally plan to stream. Hopefully, my body will cooperate enough that I can reasonably get back to Mario RPG finally on Saturday. We will see if that is the case. This game is easier for me to do when my voice is a little bit iffy, because even though I'm talking a lot, I'm not doing character voices, and a lot of those are harder on my throat. So, yeah, I'm gonna wrap things up here and go get myself some tea. More of this either Tuesday or Wednesday, most likely Wednesday. Hopefully more Mario RPG on Saturday. If not, more of this, because I have an interest. Thank you very much for watching what is an extremely late stream. And go to bed. Honestly, if you're in anything close to the same time zone as me, go to bed. Good night, everybody.